Our next presenter is NYU's Senior Associate Dean for Strategic Initiatives, the author of Contemporary African American Cinema, and a board member of Ghetto Film School. Please welcome the distinguished Dr. Sheril Antonio.
As you may know, John Turturro was called to set and regrettably could not be here to honor Mr. Lee as planned. I am thrilled to be here in his stead. John did, however, send a video to honor his friend and collaborator.
It's my pleasure to present this award to my dear friend, Mr. Spike Lee. I've known Spike for 35 years. That's a long time in this circus of a business. We worked together many times, beginning with Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, Jungle Fever, Clockers, He Got Game, She Hate Me, Summer of Sam, which I was the voice of the dog, Girl 6, and Miracle at St. Anna. Spike is a force of nature. He's a true visionary, brazen, bold, and fearless. He's a man who's interested in what's happening in the world around him, the untold stories of Black people in America, their civil, social, and personal struggles, and the interaction between the races, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've had a front row seat to his journey, and that's been a privilege. I remember sequences in Bamboozled that are seared into my brain, the hilarious family dynamics in Crooklyn, the camaraderie of the Five Bloods. Spike is a powerful storyteller and a truly collaborative creator. His eye for new talent is uncanny. He's given so many people their first opportunities to work in the film business behind the scenes and in front of the camera. Making Do the Right Thing was a seminal event for many of us. It was a unique experience on that set, and that translates into the film that has stood the test of time. Spike's work on the towering Malcolm X, the audacious She's Gotta Have It, the heartbreaking Four Little Girls, and all his other terrific features, documentaries, music videos, and concert films are full of life that burst beyond the confines of the screen. Throughout the years, Spike has had lots of battles to fight with critics who projected violence into theaters which never happened, producers who disagreed with him, subject matter, excellent unproduced screenplays, which I've had the pleasure of reading. Yes, he's had big successes and other worthy films that didn't do as well and weren't acknowledged, but he kept trucking along. And when he had to do something small, he did it. He gathered his forces, and when he was able to scale back up, he took that opportunity and he ran with it. He's a tremendous fighter for what he believes in. I've always been impressed with Spike as a human being, and he's someone I feel strangely protective of because I've seen the heavy knapsack that he's been carrying for a long time on his back. I've loved working with him and all the people I've met along the journey with Spike. He's one of a kind, unica, they say in Neapolitan, with a unique voice, and he has a lot more left in his tank, I can assure you that. It's my pleasure to give him this award. I know he doesn't like long speeches. He likes to get on with it. Right, Mookie? I love you, Spike. And I'm sorry I can't be there in person. It's a privilege to be your friend. Congratulations.
So it's my privilege to be here to introduce the incomparable Mr. Spike Lee, a writer, director, actor, producer, a researcher, historian, activist, a father, a husband, and a teacher whose imprint on the cinematic arts and art education is indeed cause for celebration. We all know his work. Yes, give him a round. We all know his work, have experienced his skill and agility with moving images, and some of us have been changed in significant ways by his films. We also know how central writing is to him, to his craft, to his life, and most especially to his students. Spike Lee's writing has become notable not only because of the myriad of projects born of his efforts, but because he writes each and every venture by hand, yes, on paper, thus beginning his deep relationship and commitment to the work at its birth, transferring and imprinting his DNA meticulously, artfully, tenderly, one word at a time. Thus beginning, I've been chosen, it seems, because the universe decided that an NYU Tisch faculty colleague should introduce Mr. Lee this evening, and that's tenured Professor Lee. Fitting, I believe, because, you see, we too share a profession, that and teacher, to generations of artists. This is also in perfect alignment with a seldom discussed truth that artists are in fact educators. Spike Lee has been teaching us for decades now where to look. He's been showing us how to look and how to see, how to listen and how to hear. He is an alchemist who mixes his passion with equal amounts of compassion, grit with glee, and even though he recognizes why we as audiences may bristle, he still asks us to be vulnerable. But most of all, he always invites us to learn something new about the human condition. These days we hear a lot about influencers, and I have news for the younger generation. Artists are also influencers. Spike Lee is an influencer. His life's work has opened, created, nurtured so many spaces. Creative spaces, cultural spaces, professional spaces, artistic spaces, whether he's at events or on sets or in meetings or in classrooms around the world. And please take note of the fact that he is as protective of his time with his students as he is with his writing time, his time on sets, and his time with his family. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, said that art is constantly at work educating the spirit of the age, conjuring up the forms in which the age is most lacking. He said that the unsatisfied yearning of the artist reaches back to the images in the unconscious, which are best suited to compensate for the inadequacies and one-sidedness of the present. Spike Lee's career has indeed compensated for inadequacies and most certainly for the one-sidedness of any given present. So now let's take a look at some of his writing from He Got Game as representative of his body of work.
Thank you, Dean Antonio. NYU grad film was in the house. Thank you. I want to thank the WGAE for this award. And I want to thank my beautiful wife who's here with me. And she's the first, when I write a script, she gets it first. And she can be rough. But very rarely is she wrong, so I gotta give a shout out to my cinema filmmaker. And I want to thank the WGA, have me sit next to the great Steven Spielberg. Quick story. We have guests at my class, and we showed West Side Story, and Tony Kush, you were there. And then sometime I sneak a guest in. So we showed Close Encounters. And when the lights went up, Steve and I walked up, the class went fucking bananas. I said, what the fuck? Spielberg's here? Thank you for doing that. They were freaked the fuck out. Excuse my language. They freaked out. And it's very important that my students get to see the people that work in the industry, especially when you have the greats. But also, I bring back alumni, students I taught, so they could see that it's possible. When I was at NYU Film School, my hero, still today, is Jim Jarmusch. Jim was 2 years ahead of me. And when Strange in Paradise hit, we were like, bet, we can make this happen. I'm going to talk about very quickly my late mother, who was an English teacher, taught at St. Anne's in Brooklyn Heights. She taught English. And she was on my ass. She was, my freshman year at Morehouse, I was very lonely, and I would write my mother a letter, and a week later, that letter would come back and look like she had slit her wrist. It was all red. And she said, I can't believe my son, who's at Morehouse College, can't write a complete sentence. So I've always, the creative writing was my favorite thing I liked, but I just did it because I write. I had no ideal, no dream of ever being a filmmaker. So I'm glad I found out what I wanted to do. And I was having a discussion with Tanya recently, and I said, I'm blessed because very few people in this world make a living doing what they love. And you can make a living doing what you love, that's a W, not an L. Hold on. The Knicks, let me get the score first. The Knicks are in Boston playing the motherfucking, it's overtime. Oh, we gotta go. Anyway, any team from Boston, Red Sox, Patriots, Bruins, Boston sucks. But look, thank you again, and also congratulations to all the people who are up here and accepted awards, because as you know, writing is no joke. This shit ain't easy. So let's hope the Knicks win in overtime. Thank you.